Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, the automotive show where we talk about all things automotive. This week, it's very exciting stuff because as I mentioned in the post, everybody's looking for that silver bullet. And up until now, and I've been in this business, a long time. I'm not going to tell you how long because you've all heard how many times, how long, but a long time because I'm very old. And when I saw what Greg Cooper from SocialMiningAi showed me, I was pretty impressed because this is something unlike anything I've seen before. And I'm not sure if we are on, if StreamYard or LinkedIn is experiencing any problems because it's not showing up. Oh, there we go. All right. It's had some issues lately. It had an issue the other day where all of a sudden it went dark for a few minutes and then it came back to life. So we're good. So Greg Cooper, SocialMiningAi, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me, Paul. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed our conversation recently and think that we can do some pretty exciting stuff here today.
So tell everybody a little bit about you. Like, don't go back past fifth grade because then it gets to be too long.
Well, back when I was born, no, when I was 18 years old, I did sell cars for a little bit, not a long time, got out of the space for a number of years. And when I was about 25, 26, was getting married and found a little company called Dealer Socket. Or better yet, I should say, they found me. It was definitely destiny. But I was at Dealer Socket for, almost 11 years. Was, I would say, definitely within their top 50 employees, first 50. And exciting times when I started there. I mean, we were just figuring things out and busting at the seams. Great culture, great people. And I grew to love everybody I worked with. They became family, and spent a number of years of just being able to think outside of the box, because when you're at somewhat a startup to scaling the way that we were, you got to really have a voice. Whether they listen and follow everything is one thing, but you're able to test things out and see how everything works. So I spent 11 years at Dealer Socket and was the first person to start selling to the used car market, CRM, Dealer Socket CRM. I was there when we first started the add-on sales team because our executive sales managers weren't going back into their customers and selling them other products that we were innovating and integrating. Just really enjoyed my time there, but it gave me a lot of experience rubbing shoulders with some of the best people in the automotive space, not just on the vendor side, which is definitely true, but specifically dealers, dealer groups, GMs, dealer principals, service directors, managers, all the way down to, obviously the salespeople, the lifeblood at the dealership, and techs, the service techs. Because one of the things that I had to do when I was hired at Dealer Socket was go train a dealership on how to use the software, which was a process that was really well thought out because it helped the salespeople on the sales side. That's the side I was on. My co-founder, Adam, he was on the operations side implementing, but they kind of threw us into the fire so that we could learn the technology really well and knew that we weren't just pointing and clicking. We knew what it was going to do and how it would work.
I love technology. The technology takes hard work and makes it easy.
It should. I think dealerships, they sometimes have a difficult time making easy work out of software. And that mostly, from my experience, only came when the dealership either A, wasn't bought in on the lower levels, firsthand, right? A lot of times people make an executive decision, throw it on somebody, and they're not bought in. The other part is just training. And one thing that Dealer Socket did really well, which has really taught me what to do at SocialMiningAi with my co-founder, is making sure that dealers know what they're signing up for, know what they're jumping into. We don't overpromise and underdeliver. We want to make sure that we're not missetting expectations and we show them the easy ways to use the value that we've created. We've also been able to use all the lumps that we learned that dealers don't want more platforms. They love technology, but they want to fall. Any technology that they need to add within their platforms that they have today really needs to fit within those processes. It could be the best things. It could be the cure to cancer, right? And most dealers they won't use it if it doesn't fit within their process.
Want to say hello to Ron Usher. Says hello, Paul, Greg, and company. And Mark Williamson in the house says, hey guys.
Hey, nice. Thanks for joining, guys.
The great thing about working and developing software and technology is that, and from being on the inside, okay, you've worked in a dealership and you've certainly spent enough time in dealerships, you kind of understand what's in here at the store level, so that when they communicate what they're looking for, you have a better idea as to what to put together for them, because you understand what they're asking. How many times do we have conversations and we don't understand what the other person's asking?
Oh, I couldn't say it better. Paul, honestly, what I've found is a lot of times dealers don't know what they're looking for or don't know what they should be asking for. When it comes to technology. And I think that's where you and I can really help the automotive space, especially what dealer vendor matches is all about, right?
Yeah.
Now, from a SocialMiningAi perspective, it's good to know the space as well as I do, because you get a lot of technology companies coming into the space with these investors that don't really understand the industry.
Yeah.
They also don't have, I would say, a passion for it, but this industry has provided my family everything that we have today, and an incredible life. And so I want to give back. And the best way for me to do that, is kind of take the technology that is out there in the world and kind of bring it to automotive, which oftentimes has kind of been lagging as far as what's truly out there and what they could be using. And that's why I'm so excited to not just call a company or have the acronym AI in my name, but actually be using it.
Now, a lot of people, AI is almost a buzzword today. Everybody throws out AI, machine learning, because it sounds good.
Yeah.
But in reality, a lot of that stuff really isn't AI. It's AI wannabe.
Yeah. I mean, I would say more often than not, especially in the automotive industry, AI is a buzzword. It's a track, right? It's a talk track. And salespeople will say it on their presentations when they know most of the time, they know that it's not really part of rule-based driven theories on the back end of the technology that they're using, but they can disguise it. And I think salespeople across the board with vendors in general, they know that dealers like a shiny object, for lack of a better term. And if it's new and innovative, if you can disguise it to be, because it does work this way or that and kind of looks like on the surface level it is, great, right? But that's how they feel. So yeah, I would completely agree. AI is overused and still underrated because people don't truly understand the work that goes into true AI. And if I kind of say about social mining and SocialMiningAi, we are the only vendor in the space, to my knowledge, that uses real natural language processing AI. So there's different forms of AI, right? You mentioned one. You mentioned deep learning. There's machine learning. There's neural networks that you use to run algorithms through. And then there's, I would say, the latest and greatest as far as communication is concerned. It's a natural language processing AI, NLP. And if you're using NLP, you have to be industry specific. And so that's one reason why we decided just to focus on automotive. And you'll see with the application that we have, we can go just about anywhere, any vertical and springboard. But we chose automotive for some of the reasons I mentioned earlier. But also my time spent in it. But you have to be industry specific if you're using NLP, because you would think English is English, Spanish is Spanish. But oddly enough, when AI is trying to learn the intent, not just a keyword, and we'll get into that a little bit, but the intent behind what somebody is saying. I'll give an example. LR&R is a term that we all know what means, right? Lease rates and residuals, or MF, money factor, RV, residual value, those things. If I go out and find data that, and let's say I'm putting real estate and automotive together, and I'm trying to let my AI understand purchase intent, it will get very confused when it sees terms like LR&R, because real estate, that means absolutely nothing to the real estate.
Correct.
And so it gets very confused, and all of a sudden dealers would see somebody trying to buy a house. And so, I think we all know dealers don't want to see any fluff. They want to cut straight to the chase. And so
what's in it for me factor.
Yeah. And timely, right?
Yeah.
So that's why one of the reasons, because we're going the long road, and it is a long road. SocialMiningAi, we acquired some of the technology from a previous company. So truly our AI and the NLP models that we've been using have been at play for 4 years. So good luck for anybody trying to catch up with us in that sense. And once big companies, right, and I won't name them, but once they see kind of the concept that we have, they're going to try. They absolutely will, because it makes perfect sense. But our AI has been at play learning for 4 years, and that's like more than a decade, right? When it truly comes to AI, because it learns and it multiplies. So we use natural language processing AI, which helps us understand the intent, which is another reason why we actually got fully awarded a patent. Now, the patent on our AI is not algorithm specific. So a lot of people in the automotive space know when Auto Alert first really came out and launched the theory of data mining, right? Everybody got on that boat, and everybody still is on that boat. And it's the same thing, but that's been happening for the last 10 years. It's really running a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
And so that algorithm, they had patented. Excuse me. And so when other companies started coming out with similar data mining solutions, they're like, hey, you're infringing. So that became a thing and kind of slowed some companies back for a little bit before they could really launch. So our patent is not algorithm specific. So no, it's not just, hey, some company could come and use the same concept. No, our patent is specific. So our patent is very broad and specific in the sense that we're looking for purchase intent. And we are trying to broaden our patent, and won't get too much into that, but broaden meaning kind of take out the word purchase and just go for intent in general. So right now we're the only company that can look at data online, use that data, whether it be a post, pictures. So pictures is another thing, but a post, we'll talk about a post, and then send that post through our AI. And at the end of the algorithm and our neural network, we can say, hey, there's purchase intent here. Then we can use that purchase intent to advertise, right? Now go ahead.
I want to jump in before you get too far ahead, because I'm so excited with this. Okay, my heart rate's elevated. I'm so excited with this.
Me too.
I want to relay this in the most simplistic of terms. Okay. I'm having a conversation with my wife about something.
Yep.
Okay. I get in the car, and guess what happens? My iPhone, which is probably no different than most other people's phones, whether it be Android or iPhone, my phone was listening to what we were talking about. So
Scary.
Now when I get in the car, the map is telling me how long it's going to get to the destination that I was intending on going to based on our last conversation. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's one thing. All right. What is hotter right now than social media?
I couldn't think of anything.
I'll give you one guess.
You'd have to tell me.
And you won't get it, because there is nothing.
Okay, I was going to say, man, tell me, please.
I'm sure everybody out there has had a similar experience where they're having a conversation and the machine overheard that conversation and acted on it.
Yep.
Right. Now, we have cars we want to sell. We have cars we want to buy. We have cars we want to buy off the street, because we know we can't really buy them at auction, because we're paying thousands of dollars over. By the time we own it, recon it, and merchandise it, yeah, right now, technically they're going because there's no inventory, but that's not going to last forever.
No.
Right? We have people whose cars we want to service.
Yep.
And there are people out there. Now, think about this now. 18% of a dealer's own customers, per a Cox study, go back to their selling dealer for service.
Yeah.
30% of any service customer goes to any dealership for service. So there are billions of dollars in business out there, and people are searching for places to go.
Yeah.
Now, I found this in my own small town. Just because a place has been there forever doesn't mean everybody knows about it.
No. Yeah. Yep. You're absolutely right. I mean,
you're
hot on the trail.
I put stuff out there, and people are like, wow, I never knew the place was there. What are you talking about? I moved here 10 years ago. This place has been here for 20. And because I bring it up, now you never knew the place was there. Yeah. So imagine if you had an Alexa in everybody's house and every single conversation that they had about, I'm looking for a particular part for my Silverado. I'm looking for a particular car. I want to sell my 2017 Lexus. Whatever it is, that's the part that gets me so excited, because now you go into, how do you answer that question?
So I love it. I love your passion. So not only, now you're talking about a conversation and an Alexa or your Android or your iPhone listening to it, right? But it all has to start somewhere. Those conversations usually kick off after you've researched something, after you've typed something in and you know something more to then bring up to your wife and convince her why you need a Raptor, right?
Yeah, good luck with that conversation.
Good luck. Still having it, right? So those conversations take place after. And one of the things dealers obviously would love to see is how can we get people, and they pay a lot of money for this, people to find us, right, that are looking for the vehicles that I have and service drive that I can, service their specific vehicles and needs, right? Well, what if you could actually find them before they not only find your competitors, but before they find you? So a lot of people are already shopping and they are led to you through a ton of marketing spend. I've got dealers that have even used our technology to, let's say that there's one of them, and I won't name names right now, I'm not sure, but they're right by one of the biggest Volkswagen and Subaru dealers in the country. So Volkswagen here, Subaru here, to some of the biggest dealerships, and it's a smaller Mitsubishi dealer, okay? And they have said to me, if I could just get 1% of their clients to look at what I've got and how much money I could save them for similar features, we would be a massive dealership. And so instead of even just looking for people that are posting online trying to buy a Mitsubishi, they're now looking for people that are posting online about the Outback, right? Or about a Passat, or a Jetta. And then they can interject and have a conversation. Well, why do you want to spend 40 grand on a Jetta when we have this, right? So we can now help you find people before they even find you. We can help you find people that before they even find your competitors. And so this is very preemptive. It's well before they've submitted a lead online. And usually, statistically, the people that we are actually finding and getting this data from are very intelligent. They have great credit, right? Because they're actually doing their homework. They're not just coming onto the lot with a prayer that they can get financed today. They know exactly how much they want to spend. They know exactly how many miles they want on their lease. They've done their research, right? And so we now give you the tools with one application and one dashboard to respond to anybody on Reddit, Facebook Marketplace, and we'll get into sourcing inventory in a minute, but we'll talk about just buy car right now, or service, because we find people that are trying to service vehicles or looking for a specific part.
All the time, every day, all day long.
Yeah, and we can get so granular that we can show you in your very town, right? So in the city that you do business with, or the surrounding cities, or maybe the entire state. But we
country, if you ship cars across the country, I was shipping cars across the country 20 years ago.
You can definitely do it today. So we look for, right now, we're actually sourcing from 30,000 different sources. So one of the biggest values is, yeah, sure, if you're a dealer, you might be able to go to one platform and hope that somebody's going on a Reddit channel that says Honda and you happen to sell Hondas, and you see somebody that posted about buying a Honda in your city, but this is, countrywide. So chances are very, very, very slim.
They're not doing it. I can promise you they're not doing
it. And that's only one. We do 30,000. So, and no company, Berkshire Hathaway, doesn't matter how big they are, they don't have the resources to look through 200 million posts a day to find ones that make sense for their business. So we filter them down and tee them up, make it very easy for people to communicate, and try to get them in for an opportunity to do business. So we look go ahead.
1 second. Let's see here. So on the platform, it shows LinkedIn user. On the phone, it shows Malcolm Stout. It says cultural changing, going to be awesome. No joke, man. My heart rate's up about 10 beats per minute just thinking about this stuff. Brian Davis says, this is meaty stuff, guys, and I'm a carnivore. I love this stuff. And Christopher Ulmer, how do you nurture the leads you identify with AI?
Chris, so we find it with AI. You then nurture the lead. So you can't be too lazy. Now, about 4, 5, 6 months down the road, our big vision and the conceptual where we're going is using NLP, because that's the model we've decided to use to respond to those leads. So I think Chris hit the nail on the head. And thanks for everybody's comments, Malcolm and everybody else. So Chris hit the nail on the head. One of my biggest fears was, right now, how lazy can a BDC or salesperson or just everybody at the store, how lazy can they be? So even if we can show them a tool that provides incredible opportunities to do business, somebody that's talking about buying an F-150, buying a Raptor, needing to service their F-150 or sell, and we'll talk about sourcing inventory in a minute, like I said. But even if we show that, how do we make it easy for them to jump in and have a conversation, right? So right now, we actually do have NLP models. We're the only company in the automotive space that I've just secured a beta test with a company called OpenAI Source. And we're in talks with them, but we're currently able to use some of their modeling to help our NLP, which is incredible. But we want to be able to nurture that lead even further and eventually simply just show the dealership, hey, there's an appointment coming in on Sunday, right? Because we interacted with all these different posts and opportunities that your team should have, could have, but just didn't. And so, we're still a startup, we're still a smaller company, but that's where we're going. And we already have the technology to do it. It's a matter of getting the resources to put it in place. So Chris definitely hit the nail on the head on how do you nurture those leads. Dealership still has to do some work right now. And that's just on the, the AI part and finding the opportunities. Now we do have a fully automated texting solution that on sell posts. So when somebody lists their vehicle for sale, we can automatically text somebody asking them, if they want to sell their car. So we can get into that in a moment too. So that'll definitely help with nurturing the leads. What were you going to say, Paul?
Hey, startup, remember this, and this is key. Some of the biggest companies today started off in somebody's garage because they had a great idea and they executed on it. And they were not shy or afraid to do whatever was necessary to advance that cause. This is going to blow up huge because think about it, okay? I know, having sat in a salesperson's chair at a dealership, okay? Everybody, however well-intended, yeah, let me check some of the want ads, let me check some of this. Somebody walks by, they're off. They're off doing something else, okay? It's not a priority. You will show them how there are literally thousands of conversations happening right now, thousands, looking for the stuff that you guys sell, but you can't get to them all. You just can't. You don't want to, because let's face it, the person making the phone call, make 3 or 4 phone calls. Yeah.
Get a couple no's.
Yeah, we'll get a couple no's. Get 2 no's. Get 3 no's in a row. That's the trifecta. Yeah, this doesn't work. But if there are thousands, okay, I say it a lot. We don't know what we don't know. The beauty of technology is the computer knows what it doesn't know and continually learns to overcome that.
Yeah,
you can attack thousands of leads, really.
Yeah, and because we use NLP AI, there's a training loop with any true AI.
Yeah.
And so one of the things, like I can totally be humble because Paul, what you had said, right? Starting out of a garage, and right now my family, we're going from place to place right now because we sold our house to really make this dream come true. Because I believe in the concept and already the technology that we have right now. And so, I definitely am going to do anything that it takes, but I'm humble enough to also call on the automotive space, who I've served humbly for 12 years now, that we need adoption, right? Adoption is what's going to really catapult this thing, because with a training loop, the more people that use it and show it, hey, this post really wasn't as hot as you thought, right? Delete. As soon as they delete that post, we can put that into our training algorithm. And now the AI just got smarter, because somebody at the dealership said, you know what, that's not one I wanted to engage in. Very simple. And sometimes we'll only give the rights to train the AI with certain individuals, certain users, because as we all know, even in CRM today, because I'm very passionate about CRM, I spent years in that field. A lot of people would just complete a task without even actually doing it, right?
No.
That happens.
No way. Or you mean go to management because they've got 400 backed up and they can't do anything? Do me a favor. Can you clear out my behind tasks?
Well, let's talk about that. One of the other things of this tool that we've spent a lot of time developing is a fully automated texting solution, because my days at Dealer Socket showed me that there are as many leads as a dealer pays for, as many leads as they get. They still have to rely on a salesperson to reach out, that first response, right? And now, if you don't know, which you probably do, but if people don't know, they should. Texting is not only the new email, it's the new phone call. People just, that's how they communicate. That's 95%. I'm bold enough to say that, right? 95% of people would probably prefer a text. So what we've done is we've built true API integrations with CRMs that are out there, the 3 main biggest ones. And we can just use our APIs and code in, map into any others that's necessary. But we can see, when you said there's all these unsold or untouched leads,
thousands.
Why don't you start a campaign through SocialMiningAi where we can just automate a text to be sent out to them, and based on the status of the lead, the last time that they were reached out to, the vehicle that they're looking at, the source, any of that data that's in the CRM, we can read that and just completely start texting them in a campaign. And once they engage, immediately we notify whomever is in charge of that lead or that opportunity at the store, hey, your person just responded. So many people submit a lead prematurely because they're interested. They want to get some questions answered, but they know they're 6, sometimes 12 months away from actually buying it.
Yeah.
And so that's why what we've seen with this texting solution is incredible, because we can, let's say a lead goes unresponded to or untouched for 90 days. We can just start texting it for you. New leads, as soon as the lead comes in, within 10 seconds, we can see that lead and automate a template to go out to that lead. And now remember, adoption, because we use NLP, our algorithms will see what message was sent, what message was received. And because we have real integrations with CRMs, we can see the outcome of each conversation. That's a training loop. So now we can start training our texting campaigns how to respond and how to interact with people to get the best desired result, an appointment, contact information, or a sold or serviced car, right? And so that's that's where I get really excited as well. So even if you don't, let's say you're in, Idaho, there's not near as many posts on social media. There's still a lot, but not near as many as there are in San Francisco. We still have a fully automated texting solution that as soon as a new lead comes in, if you're a dealer that says, hey, I want you to take first crack at it. And if they don't respond to that message, send this one at this day and time or an hour later, right? If they don't respond to that, send this one 4 hours later. If they don't respond to that 2 days later, send this message. As soon as they respond, we've done some really incredible things because as soon as they respond, we can notify you through email, cell phone, or a pop-up on your desktop, pop up on your cell phone. You can click that. It'll automatically log you into our application. Or you can actually just send a text like you would your spouse or a loved one right from your phone, but it logs it in our application, which because of the APIs, we feed it back into the CRMs. So the other thing is when you schedule an appointment, I can promise any dealer if they allow SocialMiningAi to simply do their appointment confirmation processes, they will have a drastic improvement on their show ratio because of the way that, and you saw it, Paul, when I sent you a text for an appointment, it automatically showed up in your calendar. You didn't have to touch anything. The appointment showed up in your calendar. You had turn-by-turn directions on how to get there. You get reminded. And if you want to reschedule it, rather than the salesman chasing you, you can reschedule it yourself through calendar functionality that we've built. So yeah, I get really excited.
Oh, I'm as excited as you are. Now, here's what I want to ask the dealers out there, okay? I want you to, tomorrow morning, after your Monday morning meeting, I want you to look at what you're spending on SEO, on marketing. Look at your total spend. And if you're a successful store, you're spending a ton of money, all in the hope that somebody finds your stuff. Now, I know from personal experience, having worked at desk, having called customers proactively, having done equity mining, I know that the best grosses we usually made and the least amount of fight we ever had were those customers of our own that we called that were in a sales cycle with us. They had a certain amount of payments left, whether it be lease or finance. We knew that. We also knew what their equity position is. Now is not maybe the best time for equity mining, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point here, okay? The point I'm trying to illustrate is we knew if we reached out to those customers at that point, they may, in their mind, they're driving a car, they know they're going to get another car.
Yeah.
Okay. But we reached them before they went out shopping. And because we made that so easy for them, they took advantage of those opportunities. They paid us more money and they were happier customers. That's in our own database. Now, I know if I go into a store, I'm ready for a fight. Because let's face it, customer service sucks a lot of times in a lot of places today. So if I go into a store or a situation where it's feel good, wow, it's almost like this person read my mind. Hey, are you here for this? Yeah. What do you got? Here, come with me. You're following them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So you touched
with what they spend to hopefully be found, and we all know hope is not a strategy. Scrap a lot of that and now go out. The person that's sitting there talking to their friends online and post, hey, I just, oh man, I'm juicing for this GT. Have you seen it? Oh my God. They're watching all kinds of videos. They're sharing the videos. They're talking about how they want this car. Imagine somebody just showing up with that car. And that person showing up with that car is you.
Yeah, that's exactly.
You know what they want.
Yeah, you painted the picture very, very well, Paul. You mentioned a couple other things that I wanted to touch on. So imagine using a tool, SocialMiningAi in this case, to be able to give you more data on your current customers or leads. And so what we can do is we actually have a third-party vendor that helps us append data, just like you would with, the likes of Data Fresh, Data Recharge, or different tools that, really are funneled through Authenticom, usually white labeled, or a couple other partners out there that kind of scrub and append missing data. Well, we found somebody that can actually do that for social media handles. Now, it's obviously not 100%, just like emails and phone calls or phone numbers aren't, but we have a fairly good ratio at finding them, and we only pay for the ones that we find. So we can look at a current current dealer's database. And
Yeah.
you mentioned data mining, as I did earlier, because everybody got on that bandwagon. I feel that social mining, right, and that's why I named the company this, is the next evolution of data mining. I believe that social mining, Jonathan Ord was the first person I heard say this. I know a million people have said this since, but data is the oil of the 21st century. So,
and it's here.
And it's here. It's on social media. It's online, I should say, right? So every dealer does data mining the same way. The same algorithms: lost service customers, sold not serviced, equity, lower your APR, decline service, all of it. And I think Automotive Masterminds did a great job at manipulating it a little bit and adding a couple layers to make it even sexier. Hats off, because definitely taking a lot of notes from that company. That said, imagine being able to mine data from social or let's just say online, right? So if you have customers, but then you also have all these other people in your regional area, your PMA, that are mentioning things online, it's not just those that are trying to buy a car, service a car, looking for parts. We also find life events. So I can look at your current customers in your database. I can append it to social media handles, and I can now let the dealership know, hey, this person just graduated. Right? So imagine that dealer proactively saying, hey, congratulations on graduating, getting your doctorate. What a feel good, right? What a feel good. And that right there, when that person goes to buy another car, tell me they're not thinking of that dealership.
Tell me they're not thinking about a graduation present.
Thank you. Next point, right? But even if they aren't, even if the dealer wants to play it kind of sly and just congratulate them, right? It's so valuable, because word of mouth should be your best marketing tool, period. The experience that somebody has at your dealership, or has an experience that somebody had at or with your dealership, is how your dealership should actually be growing, right? And because of that, there's so many people in the world, people moving in and out of your locations. You should be selling more cars almost monthly. And if you're staying stagnant, try to do some campaigns that are going to help your reputation. And we can talk about how we're going to apply NLP to reputation in a moment too. But we can find people that have a daughter turning 16. Now, maybe they're going to buy her a car. If it's a son, probably not. But somebody graduating, somebody moving, somebody buying a home, selling a home.
Somebody has a baby. Maybe they're driving a Nissan Sentra. Maybe they need a different kind of vehicle.
Well, I'm not going to admit it, but I guess I will. When we had our third son, we got a minivan. Okay.
Case in point. Case in point.
Case in point. So, those life events are incredible opportunities that are trigger points on somebody trying to buy something, right? Now, car is one thing. Now, if it's a baby, there's a whole slew of other things that person's about to buy. But we'll keep that off topic for now. So I believe that data mining, that's why it's really why I called the company Social Mining, because data mining was an evolution. Every dealer, it was just a matter of which tool that the dealer used. That's it.
Right.
And so I believe that the next data mining solution is social mining. I believe that it's, whether it's us or somebody else that tries to do it, finding data points that make sense, but finding intent. And trust me, there's a lot of lookalikes that might say eventually that they'll do it, but all they're looking at is keywords.
Right.
I don't want to name specific companies, but I'm sure dealers that are listening to this have had experiences where they thought they were sold a chat bot, but that chat bot, they were told it was AI, which, somebody could spin it and say an if-then bot is a little bit of AI. It's more machine learning, but it's, if you say this, then it says that, right? With NLP, you can take that's why it gets so deep, and that's why it's a long road. If we used keywords and if then, we would have been a market 4 months, 4 months into building this thing. But because we use NLP, there's a lot of ways to take a conversation, a lot of ways. So
now, speaking of conversation, let me just, before we get too far ahead here, Joe Ingram says, well done, Coop. My friends at A1 Auto Center, LLC. My good friend Crystal, A1 Auto Center, they serviced 2 of our vehicles. They were servicing 3 of them. We sold the last one. Awesome place here in Niantic. And Christopher Ulmer says, AI will allow dealerships today and in the future to deal with the labor reduction issues we have today. Stuff like this will let dealers do more with less soft costs and salespeople to focus their time more effectively. Great job, Greg.
Oh, Chris, when are you going to come work with me, buddy?
Michael Weldon on the West Coast says the new now. He's a fixed ops director. Beautiful. On the West Coast in a dealer group. I think they have about 10 stores.
So to the gentleman that's a fixed op director, I think you said Michael Wellman.
Yeah.
Our automated texting solution, I feel like the service drive in general has almost played second flute, which we all know the only reason why the lights are on is because of that service drive if it's done right.
Yeah.
Only reason.
Yeah.
Dealerships only in business because those hard-working service directors, techs, advisors, that's what makes the money flow. Period. End of story. Especially if you do it right. Yeah. So I've always felt that the technology has solely focused on sales in so many ways, right? Like, and why? Because the GM is, typically comes from sales, right? So feed my team. So we wanted to make sure that we actually took some time out and focused on service. One of the things that our automated texting solution will do is if a service director sends me all of their recalls, imagine this, send me a list of your recalls, let me do an automated texting campaign to the list of all your recalls in your area. And instead of, especially depending on your service scheduler that you use with integrations, we can talk about that, but instead of allowing, so we'll send it as soon as somebody says, yeah, I want to get my recall done, right? As soon as they click yes or whatever function response we're looking for, we can notify the dealership and whomever's in charge of the campaign, and then they can reach out and try to schedule the appointment. Best case scenario is we actually provide a link for that person to schedule it. So I know personally I'm sitting on recalls that I should have done a year ago, and so are all the people on your list. The only reason why they haven't done it, and I'll be as bold to ask Paul if he's doing the same. The only reason why they haven't done it is because it's not easy. They don't want to call the dealership, ask for service, see what day and time they have available. But I promise you, if they get a text that says, click here to schedule your service appointment to get a recall, which you pay nothing for, we're just going to fix your car for something, it's going to get done. It's going to get done. So Paul, do you have any recalls that you have to do right now?
I got a letter.
I knew it. Are you kidding me? Boom. All right. That was bold. I was sitting on pins and needles there for a minute. It's funny that it was right there.
We all have them. We all have them. And guess what? When no matter how busy I am, okay, if I'm at work and I'm in a meeting and my phone rings, I silence my call and I'm sitting here. But guess what? If I'm in a meeting and I get a text message, I don't give a shit who's speaking. I'm going to look at that text message.
Yeah.
And chances are good, I'm going to respond. And 100%. I'm not the only one. So is everybody in the meeting room, including the guy or gal that's speaking.
100%. I excluding the person speaking. My phone, I got a text from somebody that mentioned something during this. I got a text. I looked right at it. I'm like, why am I looking at this right now?
Because that's what we do.
That's how we're wired right now, right? So
yeah,
that's why I knew texting it's the new wave of communication. You have all these multi-channel communication platforms, which we're getting in bed there too, because you still have to do phone calls when you need to and emails, right? And, Paul can attest. He got an email of the appointment that we scheduled with him automatically, right? But texting, if that's all you did, you're going to run a successful business. And probably if you haven't been texting a lot or well, then you're going to actually increase your business significantly. And CRMs, they were built so long ago, they are solely focused on emails and phone calls. And so there's no real CRM out there that makes texting its forefront. That's what we've done. And I've heard dealers as bold as saying, hey, you could replace my CRM. We are not a CRM. I don't want to do that. I want to integrate with your CRM, right? Don't want to go through that. But, I think our texting solution, I'm not going to show it today because I think there's a lot of people that.
You know what? We're going to need to do another show after this show because there's so much that we haven't even gotten to. But here's a key thing I want to mention about texting, okay?
Yeah.
Everybody texts, and companies buy all kinds of texting programs. But, in one platform, you're basically picking up your Mossberg shotgun, all right, and you're taking a shot. Put down the Mossberg, pick up a 308, put a scope on it.
Yeah.
Now, the text you send out, not only you're sending out the right text because you have the intel behind it that says this is not just send the text, this is why we're sending the text.
Yeah.
And here are the desired outcomes for the customer, because we know what's on the customer's mind, what they're looking for, and we're looking to answer their question. It's not necessarily about us. We benefit, but make no mistake about it. It's serving up to the customer what they want.
Yeah.
And if you do that, they appreciate it and they're more likely to follow through because, wow, this person actually understands what I'm looking for.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I could sit here and talk about our roadmap, but at the end of the day, Paul, a startup, it was the most exciting time of my life working for Dealer Socket. I'm much earlier on in my company than I was when I started at Dealer Socket, being the 50th or so, roughly employee there. My co-founder, Adam Mayer, man, he was there when I think he started right after, maybe a little bit before me, and he was on the other side, right? So he got the exact same experience, but I was sales and marketing and he was operations. And if any dealer is listening to this and remembers Dealer Socket early on, that is exactly the culture. That is exactly the way that we will treat our dealers. And we will go to the grave for it, because anytime I walked into a dealership, I felt like I could pound my chest because I knew that I was going in with the best technology. There's nobody else doing it better than me. With SocialMiningAi, when I go in and talk to a dealer, I know that there's nobody doing it like me. There's nobody else that does what we do as far as the whole kit, right? Finding data, finding intent. Now, on top of the intent, we can actually do keywords. So not only can I say, hey, do you want to find somebody trying to buy a car? Okay, choose a model, choose a make. We'll find that too. But now say, hey, I don't want to just find somebody trying to buy one. I want to find somebody trying to lease one. Great. Put in the keywords LR&R, MFRV, and lease, and watch how many posts that you see in your area. A ton. So we can get very specific. But, my co-founder has spent so much time learning how dealers need to be treated. And more importantly, when Dealer Socket failed, it was because of adoption, right? When Dealer Socket didn't work well at a dealer, it's not because the tool didn't work. It's because the adoption didn't happen. And so we would look back early on, we would look back at the installation. And that's usually where everything went wrong. And then you'd see all these notes where you're like, oh, red flag, red flag, red flag. So we want to perfect, as close to perfection as we can, the installation and implementation of our software. And I also don't want to leave this podcast or our next one with rainbows and daisies in the sky, thinking that, hey, we're a 900-pound gorilla already. The concept's there. We have incredible opportunities for your dealership to make a lot of money. But it needs adoption. ride the wave with us 6-12 months down the road, you will be thanked in more ways than you probably care. And, just because the product's more valuable, you help us, right? Just adopt, get using it. Nobody's more loyal than me. I think anyone that knows me, ask them. And I can promise that we'll return it tenfold. We have an awesome product that can just run on the background, even if your team doesn't use all the posts that we have. Even my co-founder came from being a CEO at another company with great income, left because he wanted to do this with me. And he himself, just to prove to a dealer where we were giving all these incredible opportunities for business that it works, he started responding to posts for them. Now, and sold them cars, got them inventory. Another thing I think we'll probably spend on the next show is sourcing inventory. Like, that's dealers' biggest need right now. We are the only application on the market that can bring all sources into one dashboard. We're adding more sources as we grow, but right now we already do Kijiji, which is in Canada. We do Facebook Marketplace, Facebook buy sell trade groups, and so I think we got froze, but Facebook buy sell trade groups, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, KSL, which is more local to like the West, I'd say mountain states, right? So Utah, Colorado, Idaho. But we can add some very quickly, and we can help you source your inventory from the public. And I think if you went to Digital Dealer, that was the biggest topic. How many of you dealers have a game plan to source inventory from the public? And look at Vroom, Carvana, CarMax, Low Book Sales, shout out. But look at those companies, and they've had a model to do that for years, and it's really benefited them. Now is the time to come up with a game plan and hire somebody to do it. I can promise you our application can help.
And when do they need inventory?
Oh, I would say 6 months ago.
6 months ago. Yeah. 6 months ago. When I saw your platform, I said, you know what? We've got to do some stuff together, because I believe in it.
Thank you.
I've seen a lot of software. I've been a road warrior for a lot of years. I've seen a lot of software from big companies.
Yeah.
And this was just, wow. I got a comment here from Brian Davis. He says, would you consider working it into other verticals, such as presenting job ops to people complaining on social about their current employment? What? Brian, serious? People would actually complain on social media about current work environment?
Brian, great point. So already we can actually get data from LinkedIn, right? And so it's just a matter of the dealers that we sign up. If that's an application that they want data from, we can turn it on. But absolutely, it's just another application to use the data that we have, right? And so now all you have to do is figure sentiment on not just intent, but sentiment. So when somebody has a specific sentiment on their post that is complaining, which brings me to my next point, our next point, which we'll get on probably the next show, reputation management. It has been done the same way for forever. Out with the old. To answer Brian, absolutely great use of application of the data that we have. It's simply a matter of fine tuning sentiment, which we're already working on. So love to talk to you more about it. Feel free to reach out. But reputation management, from what I've seen, and I've seen a lot of social media posts, and Adam Mayer, my co-founder, has seen 10 times what I've seen, because he is always in there. What we're finding out is people don't trust Google reviews anymore like they used to. And when Google
they're gamed.
And when Google reviews came out, guess what? People stopped trusting Yelp as much, right? So this is what happens. It's an evolution.
Yeah.
So if companies are solely focused on driving reviews on Google reviews, and that's how they're managing your reputation, I promise you, if that's all you're looking at, you don't know what your community actually thinks about you. And I see it now, because there are people on Reddit, there are people on Twitter, there's people on Facebook community groups that are talking about your dealership.
More places than the average store is even aware or looking at.
Yeah, they don't have the resources, right? They don't have the resources. So we want to do something way more innovative than, and we are already going to be launching a similar application where we can help, on one dashboard respond to reviews and look at the reviews, but we're going to use NLP, and we can tell you sentiment behind, not just, 4 stars, 5 stars. We could actually tell you, why is there a reoccurring theme on your 1 stars? Oh yeah, his name's Dan Davis in the service drive, right? That's truly happened, where we can look at the last 20 years of your Google reviews, if you have that much, and see if there's a reoccurring theme on your 1, 2, or 3 star reviews.
Oh, just a disclaimer, if there's a Dan Davis in service, we were not talking about you. We merely threw out the name Dan Davis.
No, he knows who he is.
Oh, you're messing with him.
No, he's probably not watching this. But anyway, the point is, we want to evolutionize and truly evolve social reputation, because dealers, businesses in general, but specifically dealers, they don't know other platforms that people are using to talk about them. So 1, they certainly don't have a way to respond to them. But 2, how are you going to change the way you do business so that people aren't blasting you there, right? And that they're actually talking good about you. So when somebody's on their Facebook community group saying, hey, I'm actually looking to buy an Audi soon. Anybody have a dealership that they trust? Because that's the first place people go. They want to go to their neighbor or family member to see if somebody has a relationship that they trust. Yeah. And so we want to bring you to the forefront of those conversations.
Yeah, no, that is so on point and so key. I mean, you're heading them off at the pass. You're reading their mind as they're walking by. And as they're walking by, you're walking up to that person and you're answering their questions for them before they even ask the question. How much confidence, how much trust does that put in the store?
Yeah.
It's huge. But again, my big focus is always the customer experience, because it's from the customer experience that everything else falls into place. A lot of people, they look strictly at the mathematical equations, okay? This person needs to generate X amount of dollars. That person needs to generate, well, what if they don't need X amount of dollars worth of work? You can't just say everybody that comes in is $385.
Yeah.
Can't look at it that way. But if you look at every single customer as, how can we best satisfy every need, desire, want they have as it relates to the car experience, then guess what? You will get all the numbers, because they will come back to you for everything that they need when they need it, whether it's big or small or in between. You will have earned their trust and they will come back to you for everything. That's altogether.
So will their friends and family, because the stigma, whether it's true or not, guys, we all know this, the stigma on a salesman and a car salesman is so low. And so as soon as somebody finds someone that they feel like they can trust, because they should, because of an experience that they had, that is the go-to for their whole family, their entire network, because, hey, I know a guy and you can trust this guy. He didn't try to squeeze blood from a turnip. He gave me a great experience. It's unfortunate. It doesn't matter what you sell a car for. People still think you're raking them over the coals. You can lose money on a car and people are like, man, that guy just made so much money on me. So we want to bring the relationship from a different angle, and bring them into the store based on their needs, right? And we can help you find that before they ever submit a lead.
And as much as they tell their friends, their family, their coworkers, everybody, they'll tell anybody that will listen. I'll give you a short example before we have to break here. I'm in the supermarket today. I had bought some cod yesterday. It was cheap, but really good, $7.99 a pound. All right. So I went back for some more today. And the lady that's standing next to me, I'm just having a general conversation with her because I'm waiting for the guy to do my stuff. And she says, oh, what are you getting? And I don't know this lady. I said, oh, man, cod, unbelievable. All I did is I rolled it in some milk, dropped it in a tablespoon of breadcrumbs, tablespoon of olive oil, fried it up a few minutes on one side, flipped it on the other side. I did not so much as put salt and pepper on it. It was amazing. Well,
Anything
guess what?
fried, come on.
Guess what? That lady bought the same fish. I don't even know this lady, but she bought the fish that I got because I relayed the experience. How powerful is it the next time somebody's at a dinner party, at a restaurant, at a friend's house, in a crowd somewhere, and inevitably conversations come up about cars and service and home. You don't think that person's going to say how wonderful you guys are?
Yeah, that's exactly where we're going with it. And the other thing is all your leads, being able to actually see more data than a lead provides. If we can scrape that from, if we can look at the social media, we can find things like their job title, their salary range, their, all sorts of stuff that would be incredibly beneficial for you to do very specific campaigns to certain people. So
you could build a full profile on the person that has more data than you're even aware of right now.
Yeah, that's it. My light just turned off. Sorry. Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing.
So listen, after I cut the show, stay on for a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
I've got to look at the schedule to see what's scheduled, but we're going to need to come back. We had a couple of screen shares that we never even got to. This was such an exciting topic. So
yeah, sorry, guys.
I can't thank you enough, man. This is literally, and I hate the phrase game changing, but this is truly game changing. This isn't some whatever. Yeah. This is the stuff that people need now.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's been a long road. And we're excited to bring it to the community and industry that we love and trust. So appreciate your time, Paul.
So everybody that tuned in, thank you very much. I appreciate your support. If you see value in what we did here tonight, please share it with your automotive community. Have a safe and prosperous week coming up, and we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again.
Thanks a lot, guys.